Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to show you what you can do with a bone stock Jeep Wrangler Sport S. We're going to take it down a Forest Service road and then do some camping later on. And again, just to prove, it's still bone stock except for the modifications I did in the last video, which is just, accessories. The first part of this video on the trail is just this. They just had a brand new power line put in, so a lot of this road is this, but then there's a spot, which I'll show you later on, where it hops over, and then it's more of an off-road part. But you can get out and explore and go overland and camp and enjoy the outdoors without having to spend thousands of dollars on a lift kit and tires and wheels and all that stuff. You can get out there with your bone stock Jeep and enjoy it, and this is what this video is here to show you. So tag along, and we're going to start the trail. Alright, so this is where this trail starts. And again, the first part of this video is just going to be this gravel Forest Service road. But we'll get through this section kind of fast, and then we'll get to the more off-road stuff. But I'll show you some of this. This is down here in Virginia. It's Forest Service Road 72, I think, out near Harrison, Virginia. Harrisonburg, Virginia. But it's quality's a little bumpy. I apologize. You're just sitting on my off-road mount that I had showcased in the last video. But again, this is a cool little trail you can do, bone stock. Just helps you get out there and enjoy the outdoors. Stumbled upon this road with Onyx Off-Road, not sponsored. I had heard of the app by watching other YouTubers, other creators. I use Onyx Hunt. I've used that for years. Best app, I think, for that kind of stuff. But when I got back into the world of having a Wrangler, I figured, well, I might as well get a Onyx Off-Road because I need the place to go camping and find some trails and all that kind of stuff. So this was one of the first trails I ever took, which means I know that you can already do this, but I figured I'd take you guys along for this ride. On this gravel part, we're able to go about 20 miles an hour. Probably go a little faster, but I still like to enjoy the view and enjoy the trip. I bought this 2025 Wrangler Sport S 4-door. I had 200 miles on it when I bought it. I put 5,400 miles on this car in a little over a month. Bought it at the end of October, so I guess it's been almost 2 months. But it's been a hell of a vehicle. I had a 97 TJ back in the day that got me started with the Jeep stuff, and it was relatively bone stock too, and I tore that thing to bits and pieces. It had bald tires on it. When I ended up selling it, it still had bald tires on it, no lift, and I had buried that thing in the mud and the water. It was cool because back then you had, from factory they gave you half doors, so I had the half doors with canvas windows, and it was the coolest thing ever. I think I was 18 when I bought that. This trail is listed as a level 2 or level 1 on the easy scale on Onyx Off-Road, and it definitely is. There's parts of this trail, like if you take certain turns, which I'll point out, that it gets a little harder. Still easy to do though in a stock vehicle. There's one section I took off and it's marked as moderate, like a 4 to 5 level of hardness, and I took this Jeep, I would say, good halfway up it. I decided to turn around because the day that I did that was day 4, I think, of owning this car, and I wasn't prepared to beat it up as much as I was. I was catching the rear diff, and I was catching, you know, making marks on the bottom. I need to get some skid plates installed on the bottom before I do stuff like that. But I just wanted to see what it could handle. This trail that we're going to take to the campsite with a lookout, it has no problem doing it. Now it has rained a bunch and it snowed in this area not too long ago. It's all, you know, since melted, and then it rained, so it may be a little tougher than it was the last time I came because it was fairly dry the last time I came. But should be fine. Also, the last time I came, there was still some leaves because it was Halloween weekend. Still fall time, but all the leaves are gone for the most part, except for the pine trees. The road's still in as good a shape as it was back then. It'll be interesting to see, 1, if someone's in the dispersed spot, and 2, if the road, the more off-road side of this road, is all tore up. But this one's nice and wide. It's a double track. You know, there's plenty of places to pass. Even on this part of the road, you know, you and another vehicle could get by each other as long as they're both small, you know, smaller vehicles or Wranglers or, you know, off-road vehicles of some sort. So another nice perk of Onyx Off-Road is if you travel on, you know, if you use the app and you make an account, you can go on there and you can leave pictures and messages and, you know, descriptions of the trails and good campsites and that kind of stuff. And I didn't even know this trail existed until I went on Onyx, and I don't remember who the poster was, but somebody posted a nice campsite with a lookout at, you know, XYZ location. They gave coordinates. That's how I found it the first time, and it really is a gorgeous campsite. So we're gonna try to get out there. It shouldn't take too much longer, and hopefully nobody else is there. And it's Friday, December 19th, I think, while I'm filming this. So lucky to not have snow, especially with the way this winter has gone. A lot of places have already had a bunch of snow. So spot with a little bit of rougher rocks there. There's a nice little drop off in that area right there, but again, this is just the easy part of the trail, or the super easy part of the trail. I think I lucked out. The weekend that I came the first time to view all this, I think they had literally just finished the road construction, you know, doing all this. Well, they had just finished putting the power lines in, so all this road construction was fairly fresh. You know, the only thing that had been on it had been dump trucks and semis, and then, you know, the hunters of the early season. But, and another bonus to this trail here in Virginia, and I'll leave in the description everything about it. That way, if you live in the area and you want to come do this trail, you can get to it. It's there's cell service almost on the entire trail. Like right now, I'm sitting at 5G, 3 bars. So it's a good trail, especially if you're just starting out. It's got killer views, easy to do, and then you're not super far out there in the woods that if something happens, you can't call 911 or call somebody and let somebody know that something happened. And here we go. Here's another proof that we can both pass I'll hop over to the right and he'll hop to the left.
Just gonna warn you, it's a couple more coming down.
Are there? Okay. Are they about the same size as you?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Hope to do some hot. Backwards back to that little turnout. That way we both got space to get out. There's room there, but I want to give them plenty of room, being since they have dogs. I don't want them to be sketchy at all or worry about making their turns. So we'll just sit right here and wait for them to pass. How many more behind you got?
1, 2, 3, and they're pretty close.
Okay, I'll just sit here and wait for them.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
Are you going all the way up?
Yeah, there's a little campsite, or that little the lookout. We're past the little four-way T.
Yep.
I'm gonna go past that and up to where that little lookout campsite is.
All right. When you get up, are you familiar with it up through there?
I've been over here one other time.
When you get up to Chestnut, it's pretty icy.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see that. I appreciate it.
All right, bud.
Have a good one. You got one more? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. He was saying when I get up further up the trail, it's a little icy, so we'll see. Thankfully, this trail isn't too. There's not too many ridges per se, so we'll see if the bone stock wrangler can handle it. But if not, we'll get as far as we can, and then we'll just gauge it by how the truck's doing. But you the last one?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Have a good one. All right, last one. Let's continue on. Temperature's 37. The watch says it's 40. We're only about 2,500 feet of elevation. There's a little bit of ice on the road there. Not much though, just in the middles. There and slush in the middle, so some of the snow up in this direction or up in this elevation, these hills haven't completely melted yet. But like I used to live in Montana, and I used to do the Forest Service roads out there. I did a bunch of hiking out there. So when I talk about the mountains, living on the East Coast, or the eastern part of the United States, I kind of chuckle a little bit because I used to live in the Rocky Mountains and the Smoky Mountains. Not that they're not pretty, gorgeous, and they have their views, but the elevation here, I think the highest elevation I've been to here was Flagpole Knob, which is another little speed bump. Another pretty easy trail when it's not completely washed out. I did it in that trip in October. It was, I think, 4,500 feet of elevation, and my favorite hike in Montana was, I think, 7,500 feet of elevation, or 6,500. Mystic Lake hike trail down in Mystic Lake Trail over kind of near Whitefish, Montana, right past the Montana Silversmiths shop. But must have forgot about that guy. But you can see the vehicles that are on this trail besides mine. I mean, they're just Toyota Tacomas or, you know, small pickups. Look to be about 33, 35-inch tires. You know, not really a lift. Pretty standard builds. You don't need anything crazy to get out and enjoy the outdoors. Turned you back on, I'm getting into some ice, so again, super easy, but if something happens, I'd rather have it on video than not. I'm still running too high. I haven't switched down to four high at all. When I get off to the, you know, off this part of the trail, I will switch into 4 high just to give myself a little bit more traction and power with the wet ground. I think a little bit ago I said it was 37 on my car, 40 on my watch. It's still showing 40 on my watch, but my car has dropped down to 32 degrees, so we've climbed about 400 feet of elevation or so. This is what I was saying earlier about, you know, with the ice. I wasn't super concerned because as long as you go slow and take your time. Not that the drop to the right isn't a big one, but there's plenty of trees to stop you if you were to start sliding, and thankfully the trail leans to the left just a little. So hopefully I won't be sliding to the right, I'll be sliding to the left. Hopefully I won't be sliding at all, but we'll see how this trail progresses. Should be getting pretty close to the T area where it, you know, it splits off and you have the more off-road style trail. You're starting to see some snow that still hasn't melted, so so one thing you should do if you're off-roading at all, overlanding, whatever, it's always a good idea to lower your air pressure on your tires. Even with stock tires, I've talked to multiple Jeep enthusiasts and Gladiator owners and, you know, everybody. On stock tires, stock wheels, you know, I've talked to some people, they've been able to get their tires down to like 12, 15 PSI and, you know, not have to worry about dropping a bead. But I did not air down on this trip. Again, mainly because it's gravel roads for a good portion of it, and because the last time I did this, I also didn't air down. Another reason is I don't have a way to air up right now. My air compressor is not here in this state, so. But it's always a good rule of thumb to air down if you're going to do some off-roading. Even on roads like this, because back there in the snow, you know, the more tread pattern you got on the ice, the more tread pattern you got on the ground, the better you are. I'm running, like I said, bone stock wheels and tires on this, so I don't have a whole bunch of extra tread to leave on the ground, but we're going to slow down in this area just a little bit. to be just the turns that have the more solid pieces of ice. And there's a little more some ice. We're getting up towards the tops now, so a little over 3,100 feet of elevation. Here's that little turnoff. You know, so you got some people over here to the right that are parked. You can't see them in the video, but and this is where it starts to get a little harder to drive. So I'm gonna stop real quick, pop it down in 4 high. Let's engage. We're gonna continue on. This is that point. So if you drive this, you can estimate about 20 minutes of driving at 20 miles an hour to get to the more off-road part of your drive. This part I'll drive around 10, 12, and that's about it. It's a little sloppy this time, so we'll see if we can actually get to the campsite. This trail is more of a mud, clay, rock mix. Another good thing to consider when you're off-roading is just to take some friends with you. Or have a winch. I don't have either right now. I didn't know I was going to make this trip until last minute, so I didn't ask any friends, and I haven't picked out which bumper I want for the front of this Jeep yet, so I haven't got a winch on it yet. Probably don't really need 4-wheel drive in this section, but it never hurts. My cooler sloshing in the back. Nice little descent here. About 7 degrees of angle going down. Nothing crazy. I think the most degree of angle I've had in this Jeep on bone stock was, well, there right there was 11, but I think the most I've had is like 17-ish. Straight up and not straight up and down, but it was, you know, it was level side to side, but up and down it was, I think it was 17-ish. So probably should avoid that little hole. Don't know how deep it goes. Nothing crazy. I will say Onyx is pretty good at exploring or telling you that, you know, the levels of the trails. They are pretty good at explaining. I had a little mishap with Flagpole Knob, which is also down here in Virginia in the George Washington National Forest. The trail was listed as easy, you know, moderate, or not moderate, easy, and if you come from one side of it, it really is easy. You know, any vehicle for the most part. You could have made it up the other side with a car. The side I came up, which was past a reservoir, I don't know the name of it right now. I came past a reservoir and then just climbed, and I'd say for the first part of it, it was all pretty level. There was some nice creek crossings and just some nice views, some ridges. And then out of nowhere, you just started to climb. Well, there was a lot of washout, so there were some pretty deep ruts on the one side, and there was definitely spots where I scraped the factory stock bumper, and there were spots that I scraped up the center part, and definitely need some more travel in my suspension to handle that kind of stuff on a normal basis. But it still made it, and unfortunately, by the time I realized it was probably not something I should tackle in my stock Jeep, I was already too far up the trail to turn around. But it handled it. The car drives perfectly fine still. I drive it every day to work, and the only thing I got out of that was I got some scratches on the driver's side rocker panel, which I bought this Jeep to build it and take it off-roading and do things like this, so I wasn't too upset about it. Not getting a whole lot of pinstriping on this trail either. They've cut it back pretty good. I have a full size, maybe like an extended cab pickup could even make it up here, like an F-150 or something like that. I don't know if I'd bring a crew cab long bed back here, but everything else I feel like could make it no problem. Been some traffic. They're sliding just a little bit there, but it is muddy. Stock tires. The Jeep for sure is going to be filthy after this one. It is really windy this weekend too. I don't know why. Oh, there. Hit a tree there. I don't know why I always choose to go camping when it's cooler outside and the wind's always ripping. The last time I came, I ended up, I wanted to camp at Flagpole Knob, and I ended up not because it was, you're up there. That was the one that was 4,500 feet above elevation, and it was so windy that I couldn't, it was freezing. The fire would have been a terrible idea. Dispersed pull off right there. Actually, I'll show you that. There are plenty of these dispersed camping sites on the trail. I think that's the first or second one on this trail that I've seen. I know there's quite a few, and most of these already have fire pits or rocks, spots where people have had fires in the past. A little more ice in this spot. This spot does lean a little bit to the right, so I'm gonna go nice and slow. I'm going less than 10 miles an hour. Still plenty of trees to catch you to the right if you do go, but that's not something I feel like doing today, is going off the road, because it'd be a expensive tow bill to get myself off the road, or back on the trail. I wouldn't even say it's really ice. I'd say it's more slush at this point, given the temperature got up to the 30s and mid 30s, or low 40s. So see where someone's just hugged the left side there to stay away from the edge. And I'll show you the edge. It'd be a big fall, but it's a gorgeous view. We're getting real close to the campsite. Now we're getting into the more rocky side of this trail. This portion of the video is going to be very bumpy. And again, I'm just using my off-roam mount, so future videos, it may not be as bad if I get a different system. Still rolling around 7-8 miles an hour. It'd be less bumpy if I were to air down. That's where that airing down comes in play. Floats over the rocks a little easier. Spot, so we're getting real close to the campground's gonna be right over here. This dispersed camping site's gonna be right off to the right here in just a little bit. Only about 40 minutes to make it up here. There's a dispersed campsite right there, which has a good view, but the one we're gonna take is this one over here. It's got the best view in my opinion. It's got some tree breaks, so you're blocked from the trees, and it's just gorgeous. About 3,460 feet of elevation. But I mean, just look at that view. Just goes to show you don't need a fancy lift kit or expensive lift kit to get to places like this. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to hear me because it is pretty windy still, but 3,400 feet of elevation, and started around, I'd say, even before I started the video, I was probably only around 2,000 feet of elevation or so. But bone stock, 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport S, and she did perfect. I mean, no complaints. Slipped in a few spots, but for the most part, given that it is a stock vehicle, it did everything that I could ever imagine it to do. But I'm gonna get camp set up and probably start a fire. I'll probably end up positioning the Jeep. Last time I was here, I positioned the back of it so I could, view that in the morning. But I think I'm gonna position it so it's blocking my fire pit. and me as I sit and enjoy my dinner. But thanks for watching this video. If you're a Jeeper or an Overlander or anything like that and you want to watch my future videos, I'm going to try to post 2 videos a month starting this month. And there's a lot more to come for this build. I already have a couple accessories in the mail for it, and just a lot of trips. I'm going to take a lot of weekend trips. I work full time, so this will be my hobby, but there's a lot of stuff coming for this. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next episode.